when I played for England, it was brilliant. I just thought, if I work harder than everybody else, then that's brilliant.
Footballers are probably going to hate this, but I think football's like it's like a soft man's rugby, isn't it?
I'm still deciding if it's done me the world of good or not. I've had various different breakdowns, and I've had to really pinpoint where it's been coming from, and I just started drinking, and I just kept going. I just started crying. I was sitting there, and I even part of me was thinking about writing a letter.
See, mate, I can see there even how emotional you sounded there and where you went in your mind.
That's where the drink and drugs came from. I wasn't getting it from elsewhere because I didn't have any self-belief at all. But some coaches would just say not good enough. I broke my arm, 19, 20-year-olds when I was 15, just run at us constantly on that right-hand side. You best hope that's broken, because if you're being soft, I will not be happy. I'm constantly gritting my teeth. I'm constantly trying to prove that I'm good enough. I don't even know who I'm trying to prove I'm good enough to.
And this is a bold thing to do on a podcast.
The rugby environment was shocking for it. Nobody spoke about it.
Today we are joined by Nathan Clemmit. How are you doing, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Thank you for coming on, mate.
Thank you for having us.
Now, your story is something that's always blew my mind ever since I've got to know you and got to know you more deeply over the months, years. You're someone who is obviously in the fitness industry, but before that, not everybody, gets in shape like what you have. Not anybody can do the certain things that you've done to get to the position you are in business or in life. I always think there's some adversity that's had to be faced, or something that you've had to particularly overcome. With you, your story's no different in that. And it's really interesting in the traumas you've faced in life and the things you've had to deal with mentally. So for the listeners or the viewers, I want to go back right from the start, mate. Where did you grow up, and how did you end up discovering and overcoming the kind of traumas that you went through and that you're going through now?
So I'm from Morpeth. That's basically the poshest area you can be from around Newcastle. My missus takes the piss out of it all the time. But I had if I go back, everything was quite sweet. I think if you compare it to other people's starts, especially as I've met more people and discussed things, at the start, everything was pretty good. I didn't have many issues that I actually knew about. I played rugby. Occasionally went out on the weekends. I'd go to school. I would do whatever, and it was the rugby that took off for me. And I think that's where a few problems came up initially. It's a tough sport. Have you ever played it?
No, I haven't, mate.
No.
Got a few friends who play it at a decent level, but it's never been something that I remember actually playing when I was in school, and I fucking hated it, mate, from start to finish. Everything about it, mate, just wasn't me. I was more into me football and stuff at the time. But I think when I look back, footballers are probably going to hate this, but I think football's like it's like a soft man's rugby, isn't it?
I think it depends. Some of it, I'm not a fan of it. I haven't been brought up in that household where I might be the only family or part of the only family in Newcastle that doesn't support football. I don't have anybody who supports it in my family. My mum and dad don't watch it. I think my granddad might have watched it a couple of times just for like a social occasion, but apart from that, we're one of the only ones that don't. So my dad's from Yorkshire, and he got me into the rugby style. So he's from Yorkshire, where rugby league is more prevalent. So it's basically the one that you don't see on the TV. It's the one with less money. So he kind of pushed me down that route to begin with. Rugby union came first, where I played for Morpeth, and started at about 4, 5. I think my mum told us to just say you're 6 or 7 and you're all good, because you had to be obviously at a certain age to get in. And I fell in love with it. I loved it. I actually felt like I could do something to a degree. It's certainly one of them ones where it brings the best out of you. Like, if I ever had kids, I'd chuck them straight into rugby, but there's some parts of it where I'm still deciding if it's done me the world of good or not. Mm-hmm. I'm still deciding if overall it was a good thing. And I think it is. But when I look back to some things, the way it panned out near the end wasn't long at all. I stopped when I was 20, just before my 21st birthday. And I struggle with that quite a lot. But it's a weird environment. I don't think it's sometimes what it's painted out to be.
It's funny because team sports on a whole, when I was younger, I think I probably played football. I'm 35 now. When I look back at me as a kid, I think the team sport side of football is what I liked more than the actual playing football itself. I was all right. I could play football, but I don't think it was something that I was really ever wanted. You know, I never really wanted to be a footballer.
Just the social
do you know
side.
what I mean? But it was more the social side. I think it's a place of acceptance and stuff like that. And obviously rugby is notoriously known for its camaraderie. You know, the big piss ups afterwards, the drinking pints, drinking each other's piss. All that
I've never done that.
All
I've
that type
never
of
done
stuff.
that.
And this is why someone who's been down the rugby kind of route in life, and you've been accepted by almost a brotherhood of people, and you've done all the mad stuff and the parties and the whatever tours you've been on and all that. I want to know what side effects that, because I believe that could be the start of your trauma, as you've kind of mentioned in a way. What are them downsides of that? Like, do you feel the pressure by your peers in that community? You alright, people? Hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Here's a random one for you. Most of you who are actually watching this episode don't actually subscribe to it, so just do us a favour, will you? Can you click the like button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss another episode, hit subscribe, all that good stuff, because we go up and down the country to try and bring you the best show possible. We're not messing around here, so please just show some love, will you?
It depends on who you're with. I think every team is different, but there's always an underlying level of pressure. I didn't really have a thing. I think I decided from when I was 14. I started getting paid for it, like a really small amount when I was 16. I think I was getting £200 a month, which for me it was like fantastic. I don't have to go get a Saturday job. I can go play rugby at the weekend and I can just continue what everybody else is doing, but I get £200 a month. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. But it depends who you've got around you. I think some of it, for me, growing up, was like nobody likes school. Like I don't know anybody who's had a good time at school, so it's not like school was shit for me. But there were some parts of it where I'd play with people that were from my school, got on with some people, but then maybe in school they were a bit different. So I remember definitely thinking from when I was younger, do people only like me because I play rugby? I haven't really actually taken the time to figure that out. I don't think it's important at the minute. But it felt like it. It felt like people, after a certain point, only liked you because you were bringing some form of attention to whoever you were playing for. It brought some form of, and it's not football publicity, but you might get something in the paper, or someone might do an interview for a radio show, like just a smaller one. But you do feel important. You do feel really, really important when I wasn't known for a talent. I really wasn't. Like, no one would go East quick or anything else like that. But I just thought, if I work harder than everybody else, then that's brilliant. I can do that. That's something that I can control. And it got to the point where it didn't serve me any favours. I didn't have an off switch where it would torment me a little bit, where I just constantly thought you can do more. And some people played into that. I had a couple of coaches which were fantastic and really helped me. And I felt really accepted. And then I had other ones which were just bellends who couldn't provide you with a straight answer like a human being.
It's funny you say that, because I know we had a conversation yesterday about kind of, I don't know if it's social norms or communities and stuff, but this is the problem. And this is a problem I've definitely seen, and I've definitely been guilty of myself. Especially when you're growing up, what you find is, and if anyone could take this advice, I think it's absolutely solid advice, if I say so myself, because we all give an impression to someone of what they want of us. So, for instance, if I'm surrounded when I'm young by a bunch of lads who are all into football at the weekend, even if I'm not a fan of football, I'm going to say, I watch the game, or try and do me research. Oh, who won? All right, and be part of the crack. When really all they're seeing is a side of ads that they want. Mm-hmm. However, can't remember who said it, but I heard it somewhere that, in fact, it was James Smith. That's who said it. So he talked about an analogy of when he went to a barbecue, if, let's say, 5 or 6 of them are all talking about the F1, and they absolutely love the F1. Did you see that the weekend? It was unbelievable. Lewis Hamilton, If deep down he didn't like the F1, he'd have said, fuck Formula 1. Mm-hmm. The reason being is, most people might turn their nose up at that and be like, all right, fair enough, you're not part of the team. But one person after might pull you aside and say, mate, I hate F1 as well. I'm so pleased you said that. Yeah. And that leads me on to, like, if you could live a life right now where you were so truthful and honest about your actual likes, desires, needs, whatever your ambitions are, your motivations are, or anything like that, I feel like you'd live a more easy life. Yes, you might have less people in it, but the people who are in it will be the right people for you. And that's what you can convert to business as well. I know that if I do something in business and I'm so true to my ethics and morals, the only people I'm going to attract are people who I actually like. Because if they're not and they're just giving us the piece, do you get what I'm saying? So
yeah, you end up with you can't pick the team. You obviously get selected from whoever. You might get signed from a different club. People might scout you, but you can't pick who you're playing with. You dealt with certain people. And it's weird because like that feeling of you should have people in your life and you should have people who really support you. For me, some of them people in that environment didn't support you. So I struggle with that a lot where I had to look back and I was trying to think, well, why? I don't understand. Like I'm putting in effort and I feel like I'm actually putting in more effort than some people. And I'll tell anybody that. It doesn't mean that I was good, but I would put in more effort, like the intent and trying was there compared to other people. And that at some points wasn't enough. It was a constant chase for me after a certain point where it was like, I don't think I'm actually doing this for rugby anymore. I'm doing it for someone to turn around and go, well done. Because I would cut myself short of any happy feelings, because I just thought if I stop using fear to drive me, if I stop using being unhappy and uncomfortable with my situation to drive me, then all these achievements might stop. Like when I played for England, it was brilliant. I played for 16s. I played twice. I broke my arm before we were meant to go away to France for like a tour. I snapped it in the middle of a session, like in a training camp down in Hull, and literally just someone ran past us and just smacked it, and it just felt awful. Flash forward from that, they told me to rest, told me to recover. I got back to my own club and didn't particularly believe me, I would say. They tried to prove that I was lying in a way. They got people to, like we trained with the year above, or the age group above, where there's like a 3 to 4 year difference. And they just made 19, 20-year-olds when I was 15 just run at us constantly on that right-hand side to just be like, you best hope that's broken, because if you're being soft, then I will not be happy. Like, you're taking the piss a little bit. And that led me to doubt myself. Went to the hospital that night. It's fractured. Like, it's split all the way through. A couple more tackles and it would have broke off. I wasn't known for a talent. I really wasn't. Like, no one would go East quick or anything else like that. But I just thought, if I work harder than everybody else, then that's brilliant. I can do that. That's something that I can control. Intentionally from the majority of people. But when you hear it repetitively, intentions or not, you can't help but believe it. Certainly me, I couldn't help myself but trying to believe it and use it to drive me. And it pushed me further and further down a rabbit hole for the next four years.
It's mad that the impact that it can have at such a young age, at people reinforcing and telling you things, what it can do to your mental health and what it can do to you as a person. I mean, you're 22 now, aren't you? So you've got on a few years since that. You're still a young lad, mate. But
Look 30.
What were you 40? What were you? What were your parents? What were your parents' support like?
Oh, they would take me everywhere. They would support me through the lot of it. I don't remember a time where they didn't support me. My mum would certainly be the one who would be like, "It's all right," and my dad would always be the one to tell me honestly, and he would sit there and just go, like, if I don't think you've played well, obviously I won't say you played well, which, me being under the influence of fear driving me, I took that the wrong way. Looking back, it was the best thing for me. Having somebody be open and honest when they could quite easily say, "No, you're doing all right, like you're good," and just say it because they're a family member. Whereas he showed me a better form of respect and just told me honestly, which I can appreciate now. Didn't appreciate at the time that I was a miserable bastard, but yeah.
What was, because I know your dad's kind of, the conversations we've had off camera, I think your dad's played a more pivotal role in your life than what you think. What was it like being brought up by your dad? Like, again, because a lot of trauma does come from parents. I know that. I've spoken to enough people now to understand that, right, okay, I was treated this way, and maybe, they've rebelled, or they've suppressed something, or they've had to seek help somewhere, or adoration, or acceptance, whatever it is. For you, what role did your dad play in that in your development?
See, for me, I think the word trauma is kind of, it's not thrown around, but I don't think it has to be this negative thing. Like, it is how you view things and how you use them, because everything that you get is an opportunity, whether it feels shit or not. It is some form of opportunity to do it, and it takes a while to find, like, what is the point in this? Like, is this actually an opportunity, or is this just a kick in the teeth? My dad, when I was younger, he was, like I said, he would take me to every game. Very involved in the rugby, so made me more involved. But he struggled. He struggled for quite a bit. He had to. One of his parents passed away when he was younger. When he was very young, and he had to look after the family. I can't remember. I think he was probably just younger than me. Living in Newcastle, met his mum in Newcastle, and then having to travel back and forward to make sure everybody was all right, look after them. His little brother as well, my uncle. And over time, it takes a weight. It takes a weight, and I think for the people who are 40, 50, 60, it's not as accepted to speak. It isn't as accepted to speak because people don't. And you can see that right across the board. I can point out millions of people who are my age, their parents not speaking. I could probably name you every single mate of mine. One of them or my dad's, like whichever one, they don't speak, but they know there's a problem and they refuse to get help.
When you say they don't speak, do you mean a problem with what? Like with each other?
No, so there's so it could be a problem in one of the mums or dad's lives where us, potentially, like people who are 20, 30, can see it from a mile off. You can almost sense it, and you're like, you're not 100% okay. You're holding on to something. You're trying to possibly protect you. Like my dad really made sure that he could make sure that I was happy, make sure that I was good, protected, and just had as much chance to succeed as possible. But with that, I think he put a lot of pressure on himself, which for the habits that he had was to just basically just go, well, this is how it is. I like, and blokes do, you see to everybody, women do as well, but you do see to everybody, and then you're at the bottom of the pile. And that's what makes it worse, in my opinion, seeing to everybody else first.
So, effectively, because your dad wasn't concentrating on himself and he was looking after everybody else, you feel like he came off worst in that scenario? I think
he's always concentrated on himself, but not like aspects of himself, concentrating on his work, concentrating on the way that he coaches rugby. Like, he never put me in the first team, never. So we had like 2 or 3 teams where I lived, and he put me in the bottom one all the time. And that wasn't because he didn't think I was good. That was because he was making sure that no parent would call him out and be like, it's a bit like, oh, you're getting your son into a good team. And people would argue in them games when you're like 7 or 8, which is fucking ridiculous when you think about it now. But he did concentrate on himself, but not potentially what makes him fully happy, or potentially from what I understand, fully appreciate himself, wanting to be appreciated at work, which we all do, wanting to be appreciated with rugby, your family. And when you don't see that appreciation and you're putting so much effort in, it takes a stress. And you can see it.
If you don't know by now, I run a business called The Content PT. I create content for influencers, PTs, online coaches and fitness brands all around the world. So if you are someone who's in need for sexy content for your social media, or you really want to maintain a competitive edge in your industry, drop me a DM on Instagram.
I don't know what it's like for the mums, but just especially about people's dads that I've heard, I think I can count 4 or 5 where one of them's tried to take a paracetamol overdose and tried taking loads of morphine. Somebody has tried to like rip doors off and get to people and stuff, and some of them they just go missing, and I'm just like, this is a consistent problem. I think people hear these things and they go, well, it's not me. Somebody that you know will be doing that. Somebody within your circle, no matter how many mates you've got, will be feeling at that point. And my dad was never to the extremes, but just very annoyed, and it's to the point where now when I've looked back, it's upset me because I wish somebody had helped him. I think social media is a really good thing for that, but it's fucking poisonous. Half of it is fucking poisonous, and it teaches you horrible stuff because you don't have to have a license to do it. I can rock up and say whatever I want, press post. A couple of thousand people might watch it. I don't know, and
A couple of million might watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it is going to imprint on people, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing if people use it to be very open and honest. And like for me, like what I'm trying to do is really talk about the stuff that I've struggled with, and what I've learned, because I was a big part of me was being a dickhead to prove people wrong in a way, who didn't think I was good enough.
Well, I want to get into it a bit with you, Nathan, in terms of your own personal insecurities, and again, this is a bold thing to do on a podcast, because ultimately everyone wants to protect their insecurities. They don't want to be just by proxy. They don't want to talk about their insecurities because they're insecure about them. But I think you as a person at 22, and obviously I've worked with you for 2 years now or something.
2 years.
2 years. And the more I've getting to know you, you are, mate. You're a very, very interesting, intelligent bloke. Obviously, I've seen what you've done in business. I've seen you change people's lives. I've seen you transform people. I know the work that goes into it. I even said this to you yesterday. If I ring you at any point in the week, at any point ever, you're either at a computer or in the gym. There's never going to be a time when you're doing something different. No. And with all that, and obviously where you go, and we'll talk about that a bit later on. But the insecurities that you'd kind of faced, what were they, and how have you managed to depict them? And do you know where they've came from?
I spent a lot of time last year thinking where all of it came from, because I just felt myself cracking. I've had various different breakdowns, and I've had to really pinpoint where it's been coming from. I'd say since I've been really conscious of the way that I think and feel, I've been able to pick up on others a little bit and kind of understand where people might be getting frustrated. But since 14, roughly, I've just had these little voices in my head where it's just like, you are not doing as much as you should. From what I've had to think about, it comes from rugby. It comes a little bit from school. Definitely used to get the piss ripped out of us. Ginger, braces, glasses, skinny. I didn't stick up for myself. I would just be like, all right, okay. Just providing I don't get left out. And I've had to. It's a bit of a bitter one to swallow, because I'm just like, I don't deserve that. Nobody does. But with the rugby, there's a part of me, and I actually didn't think it would. There's a part of me that really misses it. There's a part of me that's my that's who I am. That's what I've had for the majority of my life. That's what people know me as. And then when I lost it, when I chose to leave, I still had that feeling of not good enough, and that was because some coaches would actually tell me. They wouldn't tell me what to work on, but some coaches would just say not good enough. I had a really good coach, Freddie. His proper name's Eamon O'Carroll, but he looks like Freddie from Flintstones. And he came from, I think he was a Wigan player when they're massive in rugby league, and him and a bloke called Michael Heap, I think they were the only two ones to genuinely just sit down and just be like, this is what you need to work on, and go, yeah, I can see you putting in the effort. And from that, I actually felt like I was seen. I felt like I was seen. I felt like I mattered a little bit. Because a lot of other aspects of my life I didn't feel like I did until I did something special and important. If I was just bang average, then you don't particularly matter. See,
mate, I can see there even how emotional you sounded there and where you went in your mind. And it's so funny because, or it's so apparent rather, because the things you touched on there was being ginger, skinny, glasses and braces, effectively seeking adoration or a pat on the back from someone. Now, good-looking lad, big, work for yourself, on social media, create your own adoration, effectively. You've literally, single-handedly, beat and overcame all them fucking things. And I think that, I mean, for one, that deserves a pat on the back anyway, mate. That's fucking some going. Because some people are crippled by those things and they achieve nothing ever because of that, unfortunately. Then they're locked away in some bedroom somewhere or some house, or they're a shell of themselves because of them. And again, I'll use the word trauma because that's what they are. Of course they are. If you're getting made to feel a certain way because of a colour hair you've got, what kind of shit's that? People are ignorant idiots. Like, these are young people who are, attacking for certain things. However, the sad side of it is not that you wanted to be the skinny lad and all that, but the fact that you've had to get bigger, you've had to get in the gym. I'm not saying, because in your mind you're probably thinking, well, no, I'm doing it for me. I get that, but there's a part of you.
No, there wasn't a part. It was all of me. It was really? All of me that was doing it to show anybody that called me skinny or weak or would take the piss or would push us to the side in rugby that I am good enough. And it works, but it comes with its price sometimes. It's something that I was working on with a therapist for a little bit, where using fear to drive me, just the fear of not being good enough. And Christ, it's constant in everything. Like when you were just saying like what I've done now, it's still underlyingly not good enough. I have to really tell myself and convince myself that I'm okay, and that I do a good job by other people and by myself and my family and my mates and missus. But it's ingrained through habit, and it's ingrained through believing it. And once 1 or 2 or 3 people tell you it, then you start to tell yourself it. And then when you've done that since you've been 14, it's a habit. It's not actually a belief. It's just you do it because that's how you understand to live. And it's in everything. It is in absolutely everything. I can catastrophize about any situation, and I'll make it out really, really bad. And when you are stuck by yourself, and you go through periods where you're having a really bad string of days or weeks, and you've got that headspace, it can really wreck you. It can really wreck you. I was living by myself at the time, and that, like, I was getting injured constantly. I broke my arm and then broke I can't remember, but I think it was my foot at that point. I came back, physio was shit. Instantly broke it again, and then I came back, and then I rolled over on my ankle. I thought I'd snapped my Achilles. I hadn't, but it made a fucking god-awful pop. And I was just like, well, I haven't got my rugby. I haven't got anything else to fall back on. I'm really not good enough now. I'm really not good enough.
What's going through your mind then?
That I don't know who I am anymore. I play rugby. I play it on the weekend. You walk out to music, you get people asking after, you might get a photo at the end of the match, you might get people talking to you, you might speak to fans. You feel part of something. And I wanted to just feel completely accepted by people from growing up. And when you don't have that and it literally just gets snapped away from you, you're like, hang on a minute, I've got to look at myself now. I have to. It comes from rugby, it comes a little bit from school. Definitely used to get the piss ripped out of us. Ginger, braces, glasses, skinny. I didn't stick up for myself. I would just be like, all right, okay. Just providing I don't get left out. And I've had to.
The thing is, and I'm laughing really because you're 22, mate. Like, and sometimes I think, mate, you've got years to reinvent yourself 100 times over yet. Like you're an online coach in the fitness world right now. You might go, I can't believe I used to coach because now I'm a property guru.
Yeah, it changes so quickly.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you work for yourself, well, not even when you work for yourself, you can literally control where you want to be. It doesn't matter. And it was really interesting what you said yesterday. And I'm gonna butcher the shit out of your quote because I butcher every quote, mate. But it was something, I can't say I'm laughing, but it was something along the lines of, it's not. In fact, you tell us. You tell us. What did you say yesterday?
So I speak to my dad quite a bit about, like, when I need an honest answer. If I need a bit of encouragement, I'll go to my mum sometimes, and she'll always be honest, but she gets, sometimes it'll be, yep, all good. If I really need an honest answer, I'll go to my dad, because he'll tell me exactly what he's thinking. And he was telling me about, and he's always said it through my life, and he found a little demonstration of it where it came out on Facebook, and it showed me a little clip of a massive field of people in summer, and one person went along and placed the speaker down and started dancing. And then a second person came along and was already on the field. Nobody else was dancing, and just went, I'm going to join in. And then once that second person joined in, everybody else joined in. And it's not sometimes necessarily the first person that goes and does something. Like if you saw someone dancing outside here, everybody else isn't. You wouldn't do anything with it. Whereas if you see 2, 3, 4, 5 people doing it, somebody else goes and follows along, you're more inclined to do it. Like, why does everybody dance in nightclubs? Why does everybody act a certain way in football games and stuff? If you were the only one shouting, you would stop shouting.
That's mad when you think about it.
Why'd you dance? It isn't because of the music. It's because you're weird if you're not dancing. If you're not following suit with everybody else. If I think about it in rugby, if you don't drink however much on a Friday night, and if you don't go do this, if you don't rip the piss out of somebody, if you don't think the same way, feel the same way about a certain thing, then you're the odd one out.
It all goes, and that second person, I guess, is the bravest person, isn't it, out the whole?
Yeah, because they decide, well, I've got something abnormal here. I could choose to just stay in my comfort zone a little bit. I'm not going to get called out here. No,
it all goes down to that, though, doesn't it? It's all about trying to fit in. It's all acceptance. It's all bullshit. That's what it is. When you think, like, it's so funny you said that about the nightclub, because I can't imagine going to a nightclub and not dance. Just standing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. You don't naturally just want to dance. Like, are you dancing in the house when a song comes on the radio?
I might.
Well, you might. But do you know what I mean? Like, and then you're in the comfort of your own home and stuff, so you're not fitting in anywhere. So that's a different thing. But even what I would akin that to would be social media today. Like, can you imagine meeting someone and they're not on social media at all, on any platform ever? You'd be like, weirdo.
Yeah. You are though. Like, if you don't, have you seen this on Instagram? No. Well, why not? People go, why not?
Mate, can you imagine even meeting a bird or whatever? Or whatever. Yeah, and you're like, all right, sound, you go on a date or something, you're like, you know, you take the socials and stuff, and they're not on anything ever. You think, have you been to prison or something? What's happening here?
It's weird. It is weird.
How mad's that? So just by the nature of that, you need to be part of it, because if you're not, but I do think that's what's happening with entrepreneurship now. I feel like a lot of people, just because they don't like their job, choose to become entrepreneurs. But that isn't an entrepreneur. Yeah. That isn't someone, yes, they can be entrepreneurs and go on to do successful things. But just because you hate your job doesn't mean you have to start your own business. Like, sometimes you fucking hate your job. Yeah. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I can appreciate that when, again, I loved rugby. Like, it was my life. It was all I did. It was every single little bit. I'd get a rugby ball for Christmas. I'd get a shirt. Me and my dad would go watch the games. It was everything. And then I began to hate it. And then I began to despise it. I despised the people that were in it. I despised my environment. And then if I didn't think about what actually made me happy, what really, really, really made me happy, I don't know what I would have done. If I didn't sit back and go, and like I said as well, I'm going to put myself first. What do I want to do? Yeah, I need money. I wasn't getting paid much at the time, but I need money. Like, I've still got things that I need to pay out, and I still need to have some sort of money to enjoy my life. And I had to really think about what I wanted to do. Well, I enjoy going to the gym. I enjoy the feeling. If I can do that for a living, if I can go do this, then brilliant. And it never started off as what I currently think about it now. It was very much, I enjoy it. I actually really enjoy it. I enjoy meeting people and talking about it. I enjoy helping people. And actually, to be fair, I was thinking about this a little while ago. The reason why I enjoy helping people sometimes is because I wish someone had just been brutally honest with me all the time.
What do you wish someone would have told you?
About?
Just when you were younger. What do you wish someone would have said to you? If you could have picked the perfect guidance, what would that person have said to you? What would that look like?
It's all right to switch. It's all right to change your mind. It is all right to change your mind at any point. You don't have to do something because it makes somebody else happy. I thought when I'd stopped playing rugby, I thought I let my mum and dad down. Never forced me to be a rugby player, but I thought I was letting them down, and that took me a while. I think I sat on my decision for not playing rugby for ages, and then that last day came, and I had to go home and tell them, and I was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. And that it is all right to change your mind. I've been stuck in so many situations where I've not been happy, but I've not had the bravery, the balls, however you want to put it, to be like, no, I can change it. It's all right. You will be absolutely fine. That's what I wish someone had told me. You can change what you want.
Because it's funny, mate, because I'm from Sunderland, and I love the people of Sunderland. I love how salt the earth are, and I actually think it's funny because I've had a bit of an epiphany as I've got older, mate, and I always, no matter what, when I was younger, even when I used to wash cars with my mates and 50 pence a car and all that, I've told them on podcast before, but I just always wanted to grow something myself. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, I like to see something from start, even if it doesn't matter what it is, I just like to see a growth of something.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm attracted to, not the actual business itself. Do you know what I mean? I could start a gardening company tomorrow, and I'd like to see how many doors I can get, how many gardens I can do.
Yeah.
I know what my passion is. But I actually believe, and when I got older and I had multiple failed businesses, mate, through my 20s and stuff, and I was still doing the other jobs, and I used to think, like, I'm the one taking a risk, like, I'm going to go for it, like, I'm the ballsy one, I'm going to gun for it, like. But I believe the ballsy ones are the ones who are in the normal jobs as I've got older. I think they're the ballsy ones, because for them, I feel like that's the shit that takes more courage. Like, for me, I don't feel like I need courage to do what I do. I feel like I can just get up and do it because that's what I want to do. I feel like it's almost like, I don't want to say I'm lazy, because I know how much work I put in, but I also feel like, yeah, but I'm just choosing what I want to do. I'm not going to let anybody tell us to do a certain thing. I'm not going to let anybody tell us I've got to be in work at 9 o'clock. It's not going to happen. But the people who do that and can progress, them are the ones who I admire, because ultimately they're still progressing in something like that. And I often think, I wish I could just be that way. It's weird, mate.
Yeah, it's one of them ones, like you said, I think, like what you've just said, I think the braver ones and the ones who do it the best are probably the people who don't do all this kind of stuff. If they're not completely happy and they're doing it to maybe bring a big paycheck in because they might have 2 or 3 kids, or they want a good holiday with their missus, are they really doing right by the people that they're trying to serve? Are they really? Like, if you're doing a job which you know you really hate, and circumstances are different with finances, you can't just jack something in and just expect to be all right, because you don't get a miracle all the time. But if someone's working a normal 9 to 5 and they're really not happy, and they're coming home and they are miserable, yeah, brilliant, they've got a paycheck. But if they're coming home and they're miserable, and there's arguments in the house because of the way they communicate and the lack of love and the lack of empathy that their family show them because they're always miserable, are they doing anybody right? And this is what I've tried to speak to people when I speak to them, and it's lads that I speak to. What do you want to do? I want to have a 6-pack. I want to have massive chest. I want to look like this. And I go, why? Oh, because it's good. Yeah, but why is it good? Who's telling you that? Are you telling yourself that? Or has somebody else told you that that's what you need? And I don't disagree with it. It is fucking good. It feels brilliant when you're in shape. But when I ask people, like, well, I want to get rid of my love handles. Why? Why do you want to go and do that? Well, I don't like them. Yeah, but why? Is it that it's unattractive? Is it that you can't take your top off? Is it that your missus won't sleep with you anymore? Is it something like that? Maybe your kids poked it and called you fat? Like, why are you doing something? And that's what I'm trying to get across to people at the moment, where, again, with me with rugby, if you're doing something for somebody else constantly, you cannot be happy for yourself, but no one's going to actually like you. It's
a bit like your dad, isn't it?
Doing things the thing is, stress that brought it was ridiculous. Works exceptionally hard. The pair of parents, they work exceptionally hard. And I remember he told me that once he really didn't feel like he was appreciated. And it was what I found out afterwards. He told me that he really felt like he wasn't appreciated at work in the past. And it's just like, you see it sometimes, and it's the way of the world, unfortunately, sometimes. But you look and you go, this isn't right. No one's happy in this situation. No one's good. It's just, and there's always tough things to go through in any work. But if you're not appreciated for what you do, and you're not doing it for yourself, I struggle to see sometimes how money is the absolute godsend of like a payoff. Oh, well, I'll deal with all this because I get a couple of grand.
Yeah, but the thing, see, I think there is an argument there, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that argument is, and it's so funny because I work for myself, so it's almost like devil's advocate, but I'm being sincere here when I say this. I think there's something really, I think there's something to be said for the people who, you know, when you talked there about doing something that makes you unhappy and miserable and stuff, and then you're not happy in the household and you're just doing it for a paycheck. I'm also quite traditional, me, in the sense that I believe that you should just fucking crack on and get on with it. You got a family to feed, just shut up and get to work and do what you do. And I don't mean that in a negative way. The reason I say that is because
there's a level to it.
Like marriage, I think if you're committed to somebody, I believe that regardless of the traumas that you go through, or the lumps and bumps or the speed bumps in your relationship, the whole idea of marriage is to make it work regardless. And I feel like that's the same with employment in some ways. And when I say that, I mean, if you've got a family to feed, if you've got X and you've got Y, if something's not making you happy, I get it. You shouldn't be making yourself unhappy. You only get one chance at life. However, if you put yourself in the position to make people rely on you, then it's kind of going to have to be on you at some point. So like with me, because I wasn't happy in employment, I wasn't happy working in corporate, I felt worthless, purposeless, didn't want to be there, just, you know, mentally breaking down in my own head, thinking I can't live a life doing this. What I didn't want to do is go, I'll have kids now then. While this is going, I need to just go for this. I'm just going for it. And if I fail, I fail. I've been very lucky. I've got an amazing partner who's been the best sport in the world and she's phenomenal. So like I've been very lucky in that respect. But at the same time, I've always did this. And it's important to mention that because even when I was 19, I was still leaving jobs to start my own business. I was always resisting that. No matter what, I was always doing something. But if I had, you know, a baby and I was 18 and I worked in a factory and I hated it, I do think I think credit has got to be given to the people who just do it for the paycheck and almost being selfless in the fact that, yes, I hate what I do and this is making us depressed, but I'm also providing for someone who didn't choose to be here.
So there's a massive argument for that, which I agree with. I do believe that in every aspect you do have to, unfortunately, just grit your teeth, suck it up and do it. My only argument to that sometimes, and it's person dependent and it's situation dependent, is at what point is enough enough? Every single lad that I've spoke to, friendship group or not, the majority of them have contemplated not being here.
Fucking hell.
Because they're not happy. The rugby environment was shocking for it. Nobody spoke about it. But some people, I remember asking somebody, I said, "Are you all right?" And he went, "Yeah." And I went, "Are you actually?" And he nearly burst into tears and he was like, "No, I'm not all right." He was in a pub some nights just drinking till God knows what time in the morning by himself. These are people who do it for a job, but it's not their fault. It's not, some of it might be their fault, and it's up to whoever takes accountability for what. But at what point does somebody go in, I'm going to grit my teeth and get on with it? Like, if I think that, I'm not good enough, I just need to keep going until I am good enough. I know for me, until somebody pulled me and until one situation in particular happened, I would have kept going until there was nothing left of me. I would have kept going because it was wired in my brain.
What was the situation that happened?
So there was a lot going on. I was doing my degree. I was finishing off my DES. I was still playing rugby. I was injured on and off. I was working at a cafe as well, and then I tried starting up working. I started working at the gym afterwards, a little while afterwards. And I felt like I am so busy and I'm getting nothing out of this. I'm getting nothing. I'm not getting paid for half this stuff. Like rugby, I was getting £360 a month with genuinely bills. Like, there's a place, there's a car, there's food, there's washing, there's how the hell am I going to live my life? How am I going to be able to do all this kind of stuff? And it got so bad, and I didn't feel like I could actually go, someone needs to actually kind of help me. And I'm gritting my teeth constantly to get something done to make sure I can keep my head above water and keep going for rugby. I don't know what set it off. I sat in my flat by myself, and I just started drinking, and I just kept going, and I started crying. I was sitting there, and I even, part of me was thinking about writing a letter. I didn't actually I think I wrote a bit of a one. I stopped. I think I started writing something about, like, I switched it from writing a letter to writing about how I felt because I thought that would help. And then I thought, right, brilliant. And then I had a few issues with drugs at the time. I had some in my house. I ordered some more. Just kept going through that. And then I just kept getting a little bit more paranoid, a bit more... just a bit more in my own head. And then just thought, this is just ridiculous. This will not stop. This underlying noise is constant. I'm constantly gritting my teeth. I'm constantly trying to prove that I'm good enough. I don't even know who I'm trying to prove I'm good enough to. I don't know who's going to get me out of this, because I know through all this, people have told me that I'm good enough. I didn't believe it because it was grained into me from
But
years
that
years
right
ago.
there, though, Nathan, is why you have to grit your teeth and go, because you're still here.
I had to grit my teeth in a different way.
And that's what I'm saying. But that also, that very essence of gritting your teeth, or that phrase, or that terminology, if you like, is what inspires excellence. Like, you can't. This is why I'm a massive advocate of like me and Ethan, one of my very close mates. We are very competitive in a good way. But if he wasn't as competitive with me, I wouldn't be as on it as what I am, and it's the same as him. So it's almost like but if I had the mentality of, this is fucking tough, I might sack it off and do something else. Like, so it's always trying to find the balance between something that makes you happy and something, because ironically, the thing that makes you happy will probably make you work harder as well, because you're happy doing it. But then that's an addiction, because I know I'm 100% addicted to what I do. There's no two ways about it.
And that's what I wanted. I wanted to feel good. So that's where the drink and drugs came from. I wasn't getting it from elsewhere because I didn't have any self-belief at all. I'd get little bits of it when people told me. I relied on validation. For so long, I wanted attention. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's something that's down to my childhood, but I don't see how that is. It must come from somewhere. People aren't just born with things. I believe that it's kind of like created in your environment over
even the things you've mentioned,
years.
Even the things you've mentioned are definitely things to draw on. Like the fact that you were called X, Y, and Z for the colour hair you've got. Yeah. You've basically been targeted for something that isn't your problem. Yeah, so that is going to want to make any kind of man want to... And you've got to remember, again, for the listeners or viewers, you are 22.
Yeah.
Like, you are still a young pup. So you are still... I know that sounds like I'm a granddad, but even looking at you, thinking, what was I like when I was 22? Fucking hell, mate, I was wild. So when I look back at that and think, you've got your head, it's almost like you've went through that, but it's benefited the mature man that sits before us now, because as much as you probably look back and when you're 35 and I wasn't that mature then, but you are because when I was that age, it was no holds barred. Didn't give a shit. Like, I was like, I'm just going to do this because it makes us happy, and I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But then that came with being absolutely skint, stroke, like all that type of... However, you've got a business which is healthy, and you're helping people, and you're looking after people, and you're almost like a therapist in a way, because I know the world of PT. Yeah. You're almost looking after people.
You spend more time talking about other things apart from the gym and making sure everybody's managed.
So what are the reasons that men come to you?
I would say, well, it started off with people that I knew, and then you get to know people, and then you produce a result for people, and then obviously they like what they see. They think, brilliant, I can do that. And then for me, I want to get to know all of them on a personal basis. I don't want to just be food and training, because you can pull that from anywhere off the internet. But applying it and having somebody help you through it that's why coaches are employed. You don't pick a coach that you dislike. Not really, do you know what I mean? Yeah, there might be a bit of a dick. They might tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want. But I'm very open about it. I'm trying to be really open about it now, where for whatever reason, if I sit in a group of lads, if I sit with my mates, I know that I've had individual conversations with each and every one of them about the stuff that we've been talking about, how they did not want to be here. But yet when we're all together, apparently that doesn't, like, it's never going to get in that conversation, but I don't think it's like we all avoid it. We're not going to talk about that. We don't talk about that. One-to-one we might do, but not all together. It's a weird thing to...
Men don't talk about that anyway.
No, and there's a fine balance. It's finding, like, yeah, you can talk and stuff, but if you're complaining in my head and you're not doing anything to fix it, like for me, I didn't have a right to call myself anxious. I was drinking and taking drugs every day. Of course you're going to be fucking anxious. Looking back, I didn't have the right. Of course it's going to bring anxiety, where that's what that stuff does to your head. And that's where I get a bit annoyed sometimes, where when people are in that spiral and they are using some form of self-abuse and they claim they're anxious and depressed, it's because of them things. If you remove it, brilliant, it might work. If you remove it and it doesn't work, then that needs another form of help.
So those people that have surrounded you, that have all been suicidal, what are the insecurities that make someone, or what are the things that is making them feel that way? Again, I think it's really important for people who are listening, who maybe your age, mate, and going, actually, I feel that way.
I think that there's various things. I don't know why. I can only speak from my perspective completely clearly, because somebody might have interpreted what they think differently to me. Like, I know when I sometimes leave here, I might go, oh, didn't interpret this the way I wanted to. Not that I wasn't honest, but you kind of forget how you think about it. So with me, it is that feeling of, am I doing enough, or, oh, this is just the way it's always been for me. I had a chat with somebody and he was like, well, this is the way it's always been for me, so I think I might just give up. Oh, well, I've never had abs, like, if you want to take it that. And it's like, I've never had abs, so I'm never going to. Well, I've never had this, so that's the way it's going to be. And it's almost like a bit of self-acceptance into their situation, but they don't want to. They don't want to admit that they are accepting the situation. I think it does come from not feeling good enough. The amount of people that I've had conversations with, and they just feel like they are not doing enough. And for the life of me, I don't know who we're trying to fucking please.
But mate, this is the problem, right? Anybody can change. This is the thing. Anybody, it doesn't matter who you are, anyone can change. Yep. Like, even learning from the podcast alone, I've literally had lads who've been heroin addicts who are now millionaires. Had them on the podcast. Had people who've, so I've seen it from all walks of life. So it doesn't matter who you are, like, anyone can change. And the thing is, mate, like, you've done it, and you're only 22. I would be sound in the knowledge that you're going to be a millionaire in your 30s. Because a 22-year-old with a coaching business, give yourself 8 more years. Of course you will. Of course you will. Because I know lads who are your age who are on their way now. So that's not... But you've also got the streetwise, almost like you've had the experience of going through some hardship. But the problem is the people who believe that they can't change. A mint one from James... You read Atomic Habits? James Clear?
No.
So in that, he says adopting like an identity. So instead of... Let's say you smoke cigarettes and you want to quit smoking, right? Instead of saying, I'm going to quit smoking, you have to think, I'm not a smoker.
Yeah.
So what would a non-smoker do? Not, oh, well, on Monday, like, do you know what I mean? So say I want abs now, right? It's not really a case of, well, I'm going to have to train like an athlete. I'm an athlete. That's what I am. What would an athlete eat that junk shit, smoke fags and drink pints? No. Okay, then. Well, if you're doing that, forget about the athlete, because that's not you. So you have to attach yourself to that thing. So, like, with me, I always knew, like, in my head, I was like, I want to get into videography. Had a network of people. I want to be the best videographer. I don't want to be another one in the mix. I want to be the best. Okay, who do I have to be around to align myself and be there? Okay, who's the best in fitness? Ryan Terry. Perfect. We'll get him on board then. Managed to work all the years to get that point. Who's the best athlete? Get him on board. Who are the best coaches? Nath Clemmit. All these lads, all these names that I'm talking about, I'm surrounding myself not because I just fancy it. It's because I want to work with the people who are going in the same direction. If I strip all that back, what I am is a lad in Sunderland, sitting on a council estate, surrounded by a bunch of people who are not aligned with where I want to go. But that would be me.
And it's a horrible, situation when you feel left out.
But the point, this is the point I'm trying to make. I'm no different. You're no different. No one who makes it to any success is different. They would have just been that other person, but instead they went, no, I need to align myself, slightly different, bang. Most people's ladders against the wrong wall. It's the same thing. But if you just know how to tweak it and go, ladder, right wall, start climbing that one, bang, you'll be on your way.
That's what I was told in therapy. I was talking about what I was doing and thinking, and he stopped. And it wasn't like I paid to go private because the waiting list is so. I mean, even that, the waiting list took me 12 months to get through. Took me 12 months to get through. How many fucking... You get 10 sessions, and I get one a week. How
many people have probably killed themselves waiting?
One... Well, I know. Well, there's... Like, unfortunately, I told you back in November, somebody who I grew up with Wasn't close friends with her like recently, but in November that happened, and that was a shocker for me because she was one of only the very few people at the start of my life and going in school where I felt accepted, and she would talk to me. She occasionally came around my house with a couple of my mates and stuff, and she took her own life. And I just think sometimes it's like, was it the awareness? Was it not lack of support from anybody she knew, but waiting lists, how easy access it is? But on the therapy thing, like you said, it's so much easier said than done. I was talking to the therapist, and he said, you are telling me and convincing me at the same time. You are telling me what your head is like, but you are convincing yourself that is what you're going to be like. Look at the language you're using. I've always been like this. In that sentence, you're accepting that you will forever be like this. So I had to keep, I told my missus, I told my mum, if you hear me telling myself that this is just the way my head works, or just say this is the way my head used to work. This is the way I used to be. Like putting it behind you and feeding that sort of...
from that identity.
Yeah, because you talk it into existence. How fucking easy is it to sit in a room with no phone and make yourself anxious or upset? How easy is that? Because we're naturally drawn to it because that's what keeps us alive.
Well, you've got to think as well. Have you heard of I'm full of analogies, mate. Have you heard of the barber analogy?
No.
If you sit in a barber shop for long enough, you'll end up with a haircut.
Right, just naturally.
Naturally, if you sit in a barber shop for long enough, you'll end up getting someone to cut your hair. Or eventually, you're there long enough, your hair grows where you need it cutting. Yeah. What I'm basically saying is, regardless the environment you're in, you'll end up that way. You're one of the 5 people you knock around with, because I think you could actually... Yes, that could be a possibility, but you can still be successful and knock around with people who are not. I don't really believe in that totally, but I do think the barbershop analogy is correct. If you're around people who only cut hair, there's a good chance you'll get one haircut, then bounce to another shop. And I think it's the same thing as this. I believe, when you mentioned therapy, Nathan, there, I've never been to therapy, and touch wood, I don't think I've ever not needed it, but I think I've just never been down that path in my life. But I do think everyone should do it in some way, even if you think you're of sound mind and everything's going well. What did you learn from therapy?
How my head actually works. I think it's all well and good sometimes having the understanding. Like, part of my degree, I had to do psychology, and it was only very surface level, but understanding that compared to how your head works and what sets you off and why it sets you off, there's such a disparity between what you're taught from what I've been taught and what people actually experience, what sets people off. And there's always commonalities between people who struggle with this kind of stuff. There's always some form of unhappiness somewhere, and sometimes it is from what they're not resolving. But for me, it was just right. My head, I'm actually doing this to myself to a certain degree. For the life of me, I cannot change what's going on around me. I can't. And I will sit in my room and worry myself sick trying to change what somebody said about me 7 years ago. And I can worry myself to death. So what your brain does is that why people have anxiety attacks or panic attacks is when you get anxious about something, the brain thinks that, obviously anxiety, it's fight or flight. If you are constantly anxious, then you need to become more anxious. Because within that higher level of anxiety, you'll find a solution. So if you've got 10% anxiety and it's still there and that thought's not going, it's not actually happening, right? It may be about the thought about the future. Your brain will go, well, I'll up this to 20 because we'll find a solution. Nothing. But I'll up it to 30 because if I get enough pressure on me, I'll find a solution to make this worry stop. And you end up doing it to yourself. And for me, it was that you have to call yourself out on it. You have to, even if you believe it or not. I did a task every day for 6 months where I would write down just a thought that came into my head, something that made me anxious, how it made me think, how it made me feel, how it made me behave. And then I'd look at it and go, right, that's me catastrophizing, right, over a certain situation. Let's say I waved at somebody in the street, I waved at you down in the middle of the street over across there, and you didn't wave back. I'd be like, fuck, have I done something? Is he having a bad day? Have we fallen out? That's catastrophizing it. And then it makes me feel sick. It makes me feel worried. It makes me feel a bit panic, retracing my steps. What have I told you? What have I said to you that's pissed you off? When if I take 5 minutes and go, right, chances are he's probably not seeing me. Chances are he might have a lot on his mind. He's got a bad day. It's nothing to do with me. Like if I said to somebody, how are you? And they go, fine. Sounds daft, but that pisses me off and it winds me up because I feel like I've done something wrong.
What if they don't ask you back?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Do you know why that people thrive in stressful situations and anxiety? Do you know why I think it is? The body, right, runs on stress. That's how your body lives. That's how your body survives. Yeah. And if you think about it, right, well, I can't remember which book it was that I read, mate, but I know this is the case. So when you're having a stress response, your body doesn't, it could be famine, you might be starving, you could be getting chased by a gang of fucking wolves for a week or 2 weeks. So that's why your body keeps going in stressful scenarios and you keep fighting, because you'll say to people, why don't you quit your stressful job? You almost need the stress to keep ticking over. That's why if you stop that job, boom, you'll get a dump with nothing to do, fall into depression.
You need an underlying level of stress.
You do. That's what I'm saying. So stress, because if your body doesn't, because imagine, your body doesn't know you're running out of food. Your body doesn't know you're under attack. So the whole idea, stress, is that hormone. Yeah. It's almost like your body's saying, keep going. Yeah. Because we don't know what it is. Keep going. So if you stop and your body's like, actually, okay, we're not under stress anymore. Ruminate, anxiety, boredom, depression. Fucking what do? I've got no stress to focus on. I've got nothing to run from, nothing to chase, nothing to... Do you get what I'm saying? So I feel like, I believe people who are ambitious are probably more prone to having stress and anxiety. And because there's all them... Like me, mate, you know, if I don't do anything for... well, it's very rare, mate, but if I don't do now for a couple of days, I am climbing the walls. I'm like, right, what can I be on with? What can I be on with? Why?
You feel guilty. You feel really guilty. It took me ages. Like I had a massive breakdown in November where I was overworking myself, and I got to the point where I went to go read a message and I couldn't, and I was like, I felt dizzy and I was like, what was going on? And then I went to go do a voice note to somebody, and I just wasn't making sense, and I burnt out entirely to the point where I've told people I was just having a complete breakdown because I gave myself no downtime at all. And I was working Saturdays, Sundays. As soon as I wake up, phone, replying to clients, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, still replying to clients, having a break all day. It fucking tortures you. So it's understanding what your limit is, and there's no... I hate it when people tell you that these are the hours you need to work, this is what you need to do. For them, for that position, yeah. For that individual, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe they need to work an hour less and have a little bit more downtime. Not take the piss. You do need to work hard. Those hours need to be purposeful. Then you have a point. But they do need to work hard. But for me, one of the biggest issues was planning in downtime. Putting in my calendar, you're going to watch TV for an hour. I struggle with that. Because you need to last the full course, don't you?
Yeah, that's
it. You can't just work from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. Like, I think anybody who's saying it talks shit. I really do.
I agree.
I think it's all for show.
I try and justify it in my own head.
Yeah, but I do as well. Like I say to myself, well, you should be able to do that. Look where he is, and he's telling himself that. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. What you never have in however many years you've been in business, you've never had a day off, you've never had more than 3 hours sleep. You wouldn't fucking look like that. You'd be fucked. You need to have some sort of rest or respite. That is impossible. Lack of sleep, high stress. It does things to the way that you look. You can't function as a high-performing human being, or as just a human being with continuously high levels of stress. Yes, stress pops up and down, but people go, you just need to work, do this and do that, and never drink and work your weekends and stay in. Brilliant, but they're probably fucking miserable, aren't they? They are probably a little bit miserable. There's something in there which they are, again, are they running away from something that they're not good enough, that they feel like they're not good enough? So are they happy? Is there a point? Or are they running away from something? And that's what I was doing for ages. But lo and behold, I didn't have a good relationship at the time. My mates didn't want to speak to us. Like,
there's always that thing, isn't there?
What's the price for it? What's the price?
Nathan, I know you had, I'm going to mention it, a massive mushroom trip recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I've tried them.
However, what I want to do is, mate, I'm going to talk about that in a part 2 with you.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I think that is something that I need the viewers to listen to in depth, because it's fucking wild.
Yeah.
But Nathan, thank you so much for coming on, mate.
Thank you very much, mate.
Did you enjoy
Pleasure.
it?
Yeah, it's really good.
Thank you, mate. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
So you've made it to the end of the episode. Fair play. If you want to watch more episodes like this, click here.